Today we're talking about the Canon R5C and my ultimate hybrid camera rig. Two of these items on here are completely underrated that I haven't seen anyone use that make my workflow so much easier. And then there is one surprise at the end that I found out that's much different on the R5C than it is on the Canon R5. Let's check it out. Welcome back to the channel. If you are here for the first time, my name is Luke Asper. This is the Canon R5C. Disclaimer, I have had this thing for 2 months. I have used it in the real world. I have not just been shooting random B-roll stuff with it to say, oh, look at this Canon R5C. I have actually really used these on projects, and this is how I would use it. This is how I used it. So this is real world test, not just something I'm doing for some clickbait. Second thing is, today's actually my birthday, so this is gonna be a great video, and I found out we're actually monetized here now on the channel. So the first thing is gonna be actually the Canon battery grip for the R5 and R6. This thing works perfectly fine with the Canon R5C, and it has been my lifesaver. Like, I don't wanna have to be able to put a V-mount battery on. I don't have to be plugging in a extra battery pack with USB-C. And this is where I think makes this the true hybrid camera rig, because I'm not having to be able to unplug a battery source if I'm gonna go to stills versus a cinema rig. Most of these DSLR setups are all about just making that DSLR a cinema camera versus making it a perfect rig for both photos and videos. And this battery grip works for both photos and videos. Now, there was a shoot I had. It was an 8-hour long day shoot with a client with Toyota. We were shooting full photos plus videos, and so I actually was, testing this out, and so I was like, I'm going to see how long the batteries last. I conservatively changed the batteries on the battery grip 3 times. And I probably didn't even need to at the end. So technically I only went through 4 batteries. And if you are in the cinema world and you have your V-mounts and you have batteries, you understand that that's just gonna be something that you're gonna be doing. So with the Canon R5C, you're gonna be wanting it to be photos plus videos. And so having that battery grip on there just makes it 10 times easier to be able to switch back and forth without having to worry about battery power. I have about, I think, 8 batteries, but if I'm going out in a shoot, I put 2 in the camera and 2 in my bag, and I'm not worried, like, at all. There is very little, for the run and gun stuff. We even had a shoot the other day. We were shooting long form content, and I didn't need to change the batteries. The 2 batteries worked out for me. I'm not really going to be shooting anything over 2 hours long on a Canon R5C, so there's really no point of needing anything else than those 2 batteries, and putting it in the battery grip just makes it seamless. I do not believe the hype of the batteries are horrible. With that battery grip, it makes it completely amazing camera, like the R3, 1DX Mark II and 3s. They have, the extra battery, the more grip. It actually makes it easier to be able to grip. So you'll notice I don't have an actual side handle because of the extra gripping options that it does it. So I like to actually hold it in the front with the lens and then hold the side with it, or the top handle. It just gives you extra room, and not needing to add another side handle to be able to use because of the battery grip. Now, the second thing we're going to talk about is actually something I did some research on and couldn't really find any good reviews about it, so I bought it for the Canon R5 just to see if I would like it. If not, I would switch it back to the old small rig cage. But it's going to be the small rig cage for the R5, R6 with the battery grip. The reviews were saying it wasn't working, but it has worked both perfectly fine on the Canon R5 and on the R5C. So I absolutely love it. And it makes it great for putting it on my tripods, my Peak Design tripods, putting it on a gimbal. Base underneath it is my ecosystem that I use for tripods and stuff like that. So the small rig cage for the R5 with the battery grip, 100% would recommend. I haven't taken it off since I put it on there, and it has been a great addition. I can put multiple things on top of it, plug multiple things into the sides. I absolutely love it. So thirdly, talking about the bottom of that, the most underrated thing I have found, and actually one of my friends who had an R6 showed me about it, it's the DJI RS2 base plate. And it's to be able to put that type of plate onto your Ronin, onto your gimbal. So not only does it hot swap for the bottom of my cage, but I actually can take that plate, not only put it on the gimbal, but also can put it on a normal tripod head if I needed a plate or needed to, you know, be able to pan and tilt and stuff like that on another traditional type of gimbal besides my Peak Design one. Unscrew it, pop it out, screw it back in. It is great. It is probably the most underrated thing I haven't seen many creators talking about or using that are doing the run and gun gimbal stuff. So again, back to the battery grips, you're not putting your V mounts on a cinema rig, having to take the camera off, changing your batteries to be able to then put it on a gimbal. You might debate, hey, I'm not going to do a gimbal because I have it rigged up as a cinema rig. In this case, it is made perfectly for, I'm going to go shoot videos and then on the gimbal, and I just need to go take some photos, just unscrew it, pop it right out, take your photos, put it right back in. And it looks super weird. I know I've built out several cages, cinema cages on different DSLRs and my cinema cameras. This is the weirdest one. Looks weird, but it 100% has saved my life. It stays in my backpack or stays on the camera all the time because that's just how much it is amazing. Now, the next thing, it doesn't really matter to, it's just a type of lens, but it's the 24-70 RF glass. Was the first purchase I bought years ago with the Canon R, and is what got me back into Canon because of the RF glass. And I put it in this hybrid rig because it does photos and videos really well. The autofocus for when I'm doing car content has been absolutely some of my favorite stuff because I can rely on it. I know it's not going to fail me. And so that's why I added it into this. So now moving on, we're going to go to the top handle. On my old R5, R6 cages with that don't have the battery grip, it's actually a NATO rail on the top. So you can just slide on a top handle and screw it on, tighten it, and you're done. And so this one just has the airy pin to be able to lock stuff into it. So I added a NATO rail so I can put my top handle on there like I'm used to with my old R5 small rig cage. That was just being able to put it on and off. Makes it super simple. If I am doing videos with the top handle and that plate, I can just completely take off the top handle, take off that plate, and bam, I'm ready for photos. It just makes it super quick, super reliable. I don't have to worry about it. I'm used to this ecosystem. I've had this top handle for years. It's been on every single one of my cameras, and I leave it on this one because I can put the monitor on top of it as well, and I still have a nice, easy grip. Now, the next thing he's going to be talking about is the monitor. So this monitor I've had for years, and it's the Ninja 5 or the Ninja V. I didn't get the Ninja 5 Plus because with the Canon R5C, I don't have to worry about external recording to the Ninja or in 8K or anything like that. And the R5, yes, that would have made sense, but knowing that the R5C was coming out, I decided I'm not going to get it. Now, I do have another monitor where the battery is actually in the middle. That's one of the downsides I would say about this one because it is a little bit to the right. It's a little lopsided, so if you're with the top handle, it's not completely balanced, but if you're shooting, with your hand on the lens and hand on the monitor and you tilt up a little bit, it is a little bit, a workaround. So if that is something that would bother you, you can get another one where the battery is right in the middle and helps with that balance. Now, the next item I want to talk about is something that has actually saved me in the past, and now I have probably about 4 or 5 of these just sitting in a cabinet in case something does happen because of how extreme I use these things. HDMI cord that I've been using for quite a while because I had so many cords mess up with me, and on a gimbal they just weren't right because they're all stretchy or they're all coiled. So when I put this onto a gimbal and have my monitor mounted on the side, it would start pulling against the gimbal and stuff, and so I actually went with the thinner one, and so that's why I have this cord right here. And then I rely heavily on the Canon's little HDMI protector that came with the body. So I have the ones for the small rig, and it just seems like I can't get that to fit. And when you're switching from photo to video and you're wanting to close a flap, it gets in the way. And so I've just, because of having to be such a hybrid shooter, this is the one that I've gone to. It looks really weird, but it's also just super easy just to screw in, screw out, and then it's perfect. So this is one of the things that I would add to my rig and add to my backpack. Some cords are too thick at the base, so some of the Ronin cords actually are too thick for not only the Canon one, but for the small rig one also, so I can't even use a cable clamp or anything like that, which is very unfortunate. So this is the one that I use. This is the one that I find to be the quickest, easiest one to be able to switch from photo and to video for that hybrid shooting. And so the next thing I wanted to be able to put on there is mainly for strictly just for videos, but it's also to show you how awesome the cage is. It's going to be the Rode Goes. And so these are what I use. I'm obviously using one right now. For clients, I'll have them laved up. I have several of them, one on here, one on the R5, a couple packs, because they are probably my go-to mics right now with the R5C. You know, I have the zooms and the XLRs and the boom mics and stuff like that for the cinema cameras, but for the R5C, this is my go-to. I can rely on them. I haven't had them mess up on me in the past. So this is what I put on there, and to show you the mounting options that you can put on the camera rig and how easy and tight it is just to be able to sit right there next to it and have no problems. So one of the last things is going to be the KNF ND filter and Pro Mist filter. So these are the two things that I usually just leave on the 24-70. It not only is great for the videos, but I'm actually liking the style that I'm getting from some of my photos. I know you can do it in post, but this is just makes your highlights a little bit more, bloom a little bit more, especially with being on such a photography photo lens of the 24-70 is. It just makes everything just look a little bit softer in the highlights or focusing on a light. And so I usually leave that on there, plus the KNF ND and CPL filter. So usually I would have the Pro Mist, then I would have a CPL, and then I would have an ND filter. And so with all of those filters I had added on there, it just kept getting too many light flares and stuff, and then autofocus would throw it off. So I would found out from a friend that we were doing a car shoot that there was an ND filter plus CPL. So one way you turn it to the left or the right, it's the CPL, but then with the two little knobs you can adjust an ND filter as well. So for photo and video, this is very handy. I don't have to worry about putting a matte box on and then when switching to photos having to take the matte box out, the ND filters, the 4/5 filters, all that stuff out. I don't have to worry about that. This filter can stay on for photos and videos, and I've absolutely loved it. I have a few of them actually in case anything does happen, because I do put this on the car mount to help with the weight as well, because it is so much more lightweight and user-friendly in my opinion. And the last thing that I added to this that you probably just can't see, but I wanted to add it because it's something that the R5 doesn't do. And so it was really weird because I made the switch in the R5C to the settings I was going to do. I'm like, oh, I have to go change it now to CF Express, and put my CF Express card in there, take out the SD so it doesn't use it. You know, I changed it up and everything, but then I realized it actually worked with the SD card. So it does not do it with the Canon R5, but it does work with the Canon R5C, and that is shooting at 120 frames. You can leave the SD card in there and it will shoot 120 with just an SD card. And so the SD card that I use is from Angelbird V90, fast read and write speeds, my go-to. I usually get the 2-pack, so I think I have 6 different cards of that now, and some maybe even the 64 gigs if I needed to for like a photo shoot. I've never had to fill one up and have to replace it, so they are my absolute go-to cards. So there you go. There is my hybrid camera setup for the Canon R5C, my daily use, my running gun setup. Let me know if you need anything in the bottom. Comment, look at the captions, look at the stuff, look at the links. You know what to do. Again, thanks, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.